What is up, my good dudes? Today, this is the first video of a very exciting and little spooky project for me. I'm very excited about it. So, let's just jump right in. This is my Honda 185s three-wheeler. I love it. I love that it's a Honda. I love that the fact that it's got giant beefy tires. What I don't like is that it doesn't have suspension. That's deeply problematic for me. And also, three-wheelers are really difficult to handle in a lot of situations. And generally, I find them to be more dangerous than motorcycles in most cases, which the bulk consensus of the internet and most people at large agree with that statement. Outside of your average three-wheeler enthusiast, because once you build the skill set, they're actually just really fun to ride, and they're pretty well-rounded machines, all told. And you can do a lot of things with this that you can't with other vehicles. But that's hard to explain, and I'm not going to get into that at the moment, because I don't think it's super necessary. What is necessary is to explain to you why I have this. This is the round, the sirloin, the shank of some, I think, Suzuki 70s Suzuki motorcycle. And here's sort of like what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I cut all of this down, and then I have rear suspension. I've got the pivoting axis of a rear swing arm and some frame that I can cut and weld here. So basically, if you just took a giant circle, went around here, we kept this kickstand, that is what I want from this bike right here. And if we cut here, here, and here on both sides and remove the exhaust, I can weld that to the back of here. And then we'll have the pivoting axis of a swing arm that I personally don't have to fabricate, which I think is really important. Because I do actually have a fabrication skill set. I don't really showcase it at all because of the fact that this is what I have. These are my tools. I'm not set up for it. I don't have the proper stuff. I don't have a lathe that I can cut into a piece of solid stock to make something to put bearings in and do all of that. When this is already greasable, already works, and already has suspension for really cheap. So, granted, as you may be thinking, that's for one wheel, and also it's entirely too narrow, and you would be correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right along here on this guy, and I'm going to weld on a 1982 185s front fork, and the 82 front fork does not have suspension. And then I'm going to take an 82 front hub, which is different than the 83 because it's just got it's just a bolt and a nut, versus this, which actually spins into the housing. I'll explain that when those parts come in. But we're going to take those, graft them onto what's left of that swing arm, put it on there, and then take the tabs off this guy on both sides and attach it to this bike via the welding machine. And then we'll have a three-wheeler converted into a big wheel motorcycle with front and rear brakes. And I still need to figure out if we're doing a sprocket adapter or sprocket extension, or custom built sprocket extension, or if we're just going to have slightly offset tires, or there's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff. We're going to get to that, but it's all going to be in time. But the first things first, I need to cut down this rear section of a motorcycle just to get it boiled down to the absolute essentials of what we actually need. Also, something important to remember is this three-wheeler has not always looked this good. I put a shit ton of time and effort into making it look good. That three-wheeler was bought off a Facebook Marketplace for $100. It cost me almost as much to buy that. So, know that that three-wheeler is in essence a giant heaping pile of dog shit that I made run. I didn't go out and buy some nice fancy three-wheeler and was like, oh, I want to do something with it. No, I put the time and effort into it. So if I made the time and effort to make it nice, it is only incumbent upon me to take the time and effort to turn it into a giant heaping pile of dog shit again. This is the natural cycle of things. We can't argue with it. This is just how things work. I'm entirely too entertained with myself. But okay, this is boiled down to just the stuff that I need. Let's see if I can do. Oh, I was gonna show you guys that this is the pivoting axis that I need to do suspension-y things. And that was entirely too much effort to show you guys that very little. Okay, I jumped forward a little bit. Nothing crazy, I just made a couple of cuts. So, I'm gonna clean this up when I'm done, but this is cut on both sides. This is cut on both sides. And then I need to take off this pan and then cut this lower. If it's not a swing arm, is it just called a rear arm? That's not important. I'm gonna cut this through its weakest point, pull this off, disconnect the brakes. I already moved my taillight wiring out of the way. All the rest of it gets to stay. I moved my breather tube for that. I took the chain off. And you might be thinking, Ethan, why are you doing all this and trying to do this? I would ask you, did you forget that we're doing this project? And B, I need to make sure that this thing gets cut before I get cold feet. I don't think that's very likely to happen because I am quite enthusiastic about the project. But if I give myself the opportunity, I'm going to second guess myself, and I better do that while I can still make a bunch of mistakes. Admittedly, I got a bit carried away. Here's where we are. ATC Suzuki, anemic Suzuki. This is only temporary. But just looking at it gives me so much enthusiasm. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So, I'm gonna get that all tacked together. It's literally just resting on itself. So, I'm gonna get this a little bit more sorted. Tack it together so that way I know it'll just be okay. And then put it over here. That's splitting. Alright, this is just how she's going to be for a little while until I get the rest of my parts in. So we can finagle all that stuff together. That rear end is literally just being held on like 3 tacks. It is barely together. I wouldn't be surprised if I came in the shop tomorrow and it was in half. But it's there. The concept is there. And the funny part is that the rear sprocket and like brake cable from the rear hub from the Suzuki parts bike might actually, like, I could theoretically hook that up if I get real bored while I'm waiting. I might just do that. But yeah, this isn't how low it's actually gonna sit. You can see that there's plenty of room here. So it'll be a lot closer to about like this once I get the shock mounts attached and in place, which shouldn't be too bad. Gentle. Yeah. So we'll catch up with you guys here in a bit. Alright, we got a little further, so I'll show you what we got going on. I cut down the seat pan and I trimmed back some of the frame stuff. So here's what she looks like. And then this back part looks fucking awful. But when I cut this back, the sides here were already broken. So that's just sort of how it turned out. I think I'll do something with this. I just haven't figured out exactly what it is I'm going to do. But considering that it's aesthetic in nature, it will be last. Something I can do is I have some other solid stock. So I could sleeve this tube and then bend this and just weld it over onto there. And do something similar on both sides. I haven't decided if I'm going to just use this or if I should get some like square stock and weld it onto here and then attach those to that, which would probably be a better idea than this. Okay, since we have this hub and our original guy, that's basically what we want. Unfortunately, unless I like ream this inner out, it is 2 millimeters off. So the outer diameter of this hub is 45 mil, and the inner diameter of this sprocket is 43 mil. Either way, that's not super important. So we know from measuring the witness marks on this hub that the inside gap of our rim, or the inner diameter of our rim down in here, is roughly 111 millimeters. And so we need to be smaller than that for our adapter, so that way we can take the wheel off. Our adapter needs to be smaller than 111 mil. If we measure just the outside bits of metal, just the outside of these bits, these metal sleeves, it comes out to 104 millimeters. So then we have our outer diameter of the piece that we need cut. And then center to center on these bolts on either side is 85 or 89 millimeters. And then we know that our center bore is 45 millimeters. So from the center out, we have the center that's cut out of our ring that we're going to get made, and it's 45 mil. And then we have our bolt holes, which are 89 mil, and then the outside edge of our plate, which is 104 millimeters. And now I'm going to see if I can find a company that can have this plasma cut out for me. And then I'm going to take that, align this up onto this hub assembly. I'm I'm gonna get it as straight and as true as I can, and I'm gonna weld it on there. And then we'll be able to slide bolts through here onto our adapter, and if we take our sprocket off, we'll be able to remove our rim from the hub. Alright, update time. Here's all of my measurements. It made more sense in millimeters, and then I got onto the website that I'm using and I had to convert it all into standard, so there's a bunch of gobbledygook, and then that turns into this guy right here. This should be exactly what I need to weld onto that hub, so that way I can mount the sprocket directly to the hub. So, yeah. Oh, just for future reference, you guys, the website's called Send Cut Send, and the only reason why I'm using them for this is because I saw some other fabricator YouTuber use them, and they seemed to really like it, so here we are. And to be honest, I'm not sponsored. God, if I could only get to that level, but user interface was really good, had a bunch of templates. The only annoying part is that some of the things that I was trying to do I couldn't do in like millimeters, which is a little annoying, but that's fine. I have the internet. I can figure it out. Besides that, I'm gonna get this ordered, and then I'll let you know if their 2 days shipping is really 2 days or not. Alright everybody, we are back. Since the last time we talked, I did a bunch of little stuff, and I don't know how much of that I'm gonna put on in the video, but it's an absolute fuck ton of like little piddly stuff. Like, I took that off the back. I got the sprocket free. I got my hub assembly in. I've got my ATC swing arm, which is not attached to anything. I took and modified the original swing arm so I can mount this hub and wheel on it, because this wasn't here yet. For funsies, and doesn't actually contribute to the project. I'll probably just put in a clip or two now of me mocking it up, so that way I could just look at it for a while. Okay, this is exceptionally crude, and it's probably going to be about as crude as this whole deal gets. Nothing is pretty, nothing is polished, nothing is even good, really. Mostly because I was bored, and I wanted to feel like I was making progress, and also I wanted to see it on its wheels, which I was successful in both. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut down this there. We're probably going to cut down this here, just to bring it all closer, because if this stays, then this, it's still kind of a fucky mess, if I'm going to be honest. And I just need to make some decisions and then deal with the consequences of those decisions until we have a motorcycle. Okay. What I'm more or less doing is, well, exactly what it looks like. I'm going to try and attach this somewhere up here. You can see that I removed the support that was here. It goes up to here. So that way I'd have more room. You can see I cut more out of this, throwing all of my previous work to the wind. That's fine. I don't even care. Basically, my goal at the moment is I need to get this propped up in such a way that I can see this gear, if that'll focus at all. So this gear will line up the hub right here, about as close as the room as I can get. Pretty much right where my flashlight is standing, right? Because then it's just placing the chain sprocket assembly on, which I have got coming in the mail. Holy shit, that is loose. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Alright, I just got off the phone with the wise man, Mr. Colton himself. He said, Ethan, it's too goddamn long. And I think he's right. So I crudely mocked it up again, because that's all I ever do when I build anything, because I need to see it to act on it. But yeah. If that ends about there, and we cut this off here, it'll be just a skosh longer than that, instead of sticking out to here. Would be significantly closer. And all I've really been doing is just bitching and moaning about the fact that, like, I can't cut straight with the Sawzall, and it frustrates the hell out of me. So we're gonna cut that down. I'm gonna try real fucking hard to get that straight. And then tack it back together, do the song and dance. And then come back and see how it lands and try and get the rear end mocked up. I know that I might have explained this before or not, but when this isn't caught on bad weld, this is going to emulate the inside of the sprocket, and that's why I'm trying to get that to line up, because then I know when I weld my adapter on here, I can use that little bit of play in either direction to get the chain perfect. But if I can set this boundary correctly, then I can weld this together today, instead of doing a gazillion tacks and doing it and then breaking it all apart and then re-welding it together when everything gets here. I might do that, considering I've done that 6 times already. Yeah. So I'm going to get to work. You can tell that my brain is already processing what I need to do and trying to sort out exactly what order to do it in. So that's why I'm constantly stumbling when I pull out this camera, because I'm not thinking about talking to you guys. I'm thinking about what I have to do next. So yeah, I'm gonna get to cutting down that swing arm and making more progress, instead of rambling and putting everything off because I get sad that I can't cut straight with the Sawzall. It's a skill issue, and we only get better by doing it. So let's get moving. Mission log. Making poor decisions. We continue. Alright, so we got this cut down. The battery died. I measured from here to center of this bolt on both sides, and that seems straight enough. All we need to do now is attach it to the frame, and let me find my, set down these earplugs and find my flashlight that I set on the floor because I can't keep my mind straight at the moment. Ah, there it is. Okay, let's see if I can demonstrate what I'm thinking for you guys. This string represents just on the inside of where my sprocket should land. And I want that to basically be touching this rim, right? And then we'll have just a little bit of playroom for where that sprocket can land. But that is pretty much right where I want it. So, good news. It's not crazy looking. And then if we back up a little bit, we can see that our rear tire is in fact not perfectly aligned. It's slightly to the right. That is what I was expecting. So, basically, it's going to be slightly uneven. And like I've said before, and I'll reiterate now because I don't know what's hitting the cutting room floor or not, this is what I anticipated. This is what I'm coming to expect. This is how it's going to end up being, because it saves me from having to do a jack shaft and stuff, and obviously I could only get to do this with like the 185 parts because the tires are narrower. I'm not sure about the 200, but for sure the big reds have much wider tires, and that rear tire would be way off to the right. Yeah. So I'm going to line that guy up there, and I'm going to try and attach that to the frame. And once I get to that point, we're going to grab our shocks and our shock mounts and start trying to mock that up. Okay, basically the idea is let's just get bent solid stock and weld it into the ends of the frame here, and then weld it up on here. This side, I just needed something to hold it, so that very well may be coming off, but this side came out really well, in my opinion, and it leaves me enough room for my chain and so on. And then down here I need to either stick a piece of plate through here or something, and then I need to do some measuring to make sure everything's nice and square. I'm gonna do a bunch off camera. Basically it's just at this point making sure that we have a clear line from sprocket to theoretical sprocket, there to there, and then making sure everything from like the foot pegs, the rear bolts are square, and then grafting it together. That's pretty much it at this point. Yeah, so I'm gonna get to work on that. It's gonna take me a while. It's gonna be finicky, and it's gonna take me twice as long to try and do it and record it at the same time. So, just time to get after it. All right, I know that this probably means fuck all nothing, but I've taken exceptionally few measurements because my brain's happier when I'm just trying and creating problems and then fixing them, right? But that bubble is basically fucking level. And I'm just winging it, right? So, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. Well, it's only a matter of time before I fuck something up. I should have cut that one like this one. Or this one a little bit more like that one. But that was a nightmare to cut, and this one was easier to cut. Either way, I've got to plate them in, figure it out, make it better, because I can't just slap it on, so. Let me dick around with this for a little while. I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Okay. We're marching forward. Doing pretty good today. So, here's where we are at. In the future, I'll probably get longer shocks. That's not super important. What is important is that we don't look at how bad this is, because I'm going to have to plate this in later. Or figure out how to mount it, because I cut everything wrong. The other side actually turned out pretty okay. I find those terms acceptable. So, now, all I need to do is set up the lower shock mounts. And then this should be able to sit on its own. And then, once I have that rough together, yeah. Then we're just waiting on our sprocket adapter. And as soon as I have that, put that on, get it sorted. If it looks good, finish weld, plate everything. Add in reinforcements, do a bunch of shit that I'm probably not going to do on camera, and go ride it. So I'm very excited. But before I get too ahead of myself, I need to shave the lower shock mounts off of some other piece of metal. Oh yeah, over these. So this would be pretty easy. We're just gonna hack right along there on both of these and tack them onto that. Let's go. Okay, I'm not sure where I left off because I've been fighting with this motherfucker for a while. But, exciting news. It looks like a motorcycle. I double, triple, quadruple checked my fitment for my sprocket alignment, and it's goddamn close. It's not finished welded yet, but it's really strongly tacked. In some places there's just small welds just to make sure that it stays together and positioned how it is. The rear tire is a little bit further back than I would like. That's fine. So yeah, this is pretty much where we're going to be until I get my sprocket adapter in the mail. What is up, my good dudes? We are back working on this fucking thing. We're back working on the ATC185s. And I got my adapter bits in. I'm going to share that with you now. So, this guy is going to fit around the center bowl, and it's already perfectly slotted out to fit everything I need to. It fits rather well, actually, and I'm very, very excited about it. And so, of course, there was a good sale going on, it being the season and all. I got 2 of them for not very much. And my measurements were fucking spot on. I think my actual measurements from here to here, I think I had written down 89, and while I was in the software making it all happen, I made the executive decision to move that to 90 mil. Mostly because it felt like if I was designing this part, it'd be super asinine to make it 89 mil, and I expected better of Honda. Turns out I was right. It's dead nuts on. It's fucking perfect. So, when I did get it, there's a tiny metal spot there. And there's another one like right there. Hopefully the camera focuses and shows you. But that's from the plasma table or whatever. So I took a rat tail file, I filed that out, and it fits this guy fucking perfectly. I couldn't turn that separate from this wheel if I tried, and it's not even welded yet. And I also took the spare one I had and then ran it through my other rim over there, and I know it fits through here. So once I get the depth set to exactly where I want it to land, I will be able to, well, I'll take the rim off to prove that the rim can come off around this. I'll weld the back of it, and we'll line up our chain. And off camera, I did get an O-ringed chain, which apparently that's a thing. Didn't know it was a thing. Kind of motorcycle chain. It's supposed to make it better somehow. I didn't really pay attention, but it was cheap and available quickly, so I bought it. So I'm going to get that put on. I've already got it crudely sized. I think it fits. Could be like a link or 2 shorter. So I'm gonna get this set with this. I'm gonna get it put on there. And then we are so close to being done, and I'm fucking so goddamn excited. It's gonna be fucking sick. All right, guess all there is to do is to get to work. we got everything hooked up. Everything's in place. I noticed that I'm gonna have to make my kickstand stop sooner in its throw, probably about like right there, and I need to make this axle tensionable because currently it's just far enough to overlap the two ends of the chain, but not so much slack that I can get an extra link out of it. I'm where I'm supposed to be for links, which is super fucking annoying because this thing is not tensioned. So I need to make the rear end adjustable somehow, and then make this so it doesn't go so far. But if that just sat just a tiny bit taller, just a teensy bit more tension, we'd be clearing. But understand that the noises you'll hear is it hitting the kickstand. That's her. I don't know if it's so loose that I would kick the chain if I tried to ride it. But it's also very late, and this thing has no exhaust on it at all. So I can't even test ride it if I wanted to, but I got the parts and I couldn't help myself. So we're gonna double check, make sure everything's straight. Disassemble that rear wheel. Bare minimum, I'm gonna tack that hub together, so that way I can test drive it, and if it needs to be adjusted, then I can take it back apart, theoretically. Probably. Sure. I'm sure I can. Right now that thing is so fucking snug on there, I bet if I tried to ride it, it wouldn't be a problem. I bet that'd be fine. Just the way it is. It's like friction fit on there. It's like just right. If I was to do this again in the future, I'd probably give myself like an extra 1/2 mil of clearance to just so it would be easier to put on. And in the future, I might just ream that one out a little bit with like a file or something if I go to do this again, or if that one breaks, or if I fuck up something else and I need it. I've got a couple of ideas on how to tension this, but nothing super solid yet. So I'm gonna dick with this a bit more, and the next time you guys see me, we should be on our first test drive. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited, dude. This is going to be amazing. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever built. I've made a few things, but this is dope. This is phenomenal. I'm very excited. All right, so stay tuned. She is not finished welded. I repeat, not finished welded. We're gonna take it for a spin. Okay, so she rides perfectly, beautifully even. I got a little bit too ambitious and I tried to drive up a very rocky section, and I broke the motorcycle in half. So we're gonna go get it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna come clean with you guys. This was actually test run number 2. I forgot to turn on the camera the first time. What I can tell you is this thing is awesome. It does turn a little bit easier to the left than the right, but that was to be expected. We have offset wheels. But it's just churning through stuff. It just does really well. And then this is a really good example of what I want it to do. This is a blind run up to that hill, which is probably hard to tell on camera how steep that is, but it's pretty steep. It's steep and it's rocky and you're going into it blind, right? You can see my little mark all the way up. Well, just put it in a lower gear, just putted it right up the hill. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. And somewhere up here by the top, I hit a rock. 2 hill and a half. So we're gonna get her loaded up. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better place to load that thing up. Oh, it's so fitting that on one of the first test rides, I fucking break this son of a bitch in half. I can tell you this though, I'm not disappointed. I'm in love. This thing, oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's just say that loading it into the truck was a lot more successful than unloading it from the truck. Oh my God. All right, my good dudes. Look, it's like we were here, just where I was like a week ago, except for now we have all of our welding witness marks, so it's literally just line it up, eyeball it, and send it. So, yeah. Nothing I haven't talked about already. We're just gonna do everything, except for this time we're actually gonna make it solid. Well, the little riding time I did get out of it was minty. It was phenomenal. It was chef's kiss. It was beautiful. So, yeah. I'm gonna toss you guys in a time lapse. I'm gonna get this thing fucking knocked out. We're gonna do a bunch of welding. Just try and just fucking cement it together. We're gonna make it happen. All right, and then I'm also going to grind down this silvery spot right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. That is rubbing the chain by like a millimeter. No, not even, like 1,000th. It's barely tip-tapping it right there. So I'm gonna clearance that so the chain doesn't self-clearance it, and then yeah, I'm gonna catch up with you after that. Alright, update time. Any welds that were not finished before should be finished now. Should be. I got everything realigned, I did all that, and blah 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 blah. It's all put together, suspension's all there. I'm gonna have, in the future, I'm gonna redo the shocks, and there's still a bunch more work that I need to do. Obviously I need to build an exhaust, and I'm gonna make a mud flap out of these two mud flaps and do all that. So there's still plenty more to do, but today I think I'm pretty close to done. All I have to do is go ride it around a bunch more because I can. Nobody can stop me, and I'm so fucking excited. If I could get the seat on it. There we go. Oh, I also put some weld onto my kickstand, so that doesn't rub the chain anymore. I shaved that down a good bit, but apparently I need to do just a tiny bit more. You can still hear it a little bit. But I think we're good for another go. And I was doing a lot of thinking when I was welding upon this machine here. And all I'm really confident about is it wasn't about my half-assed approach or my shitty welds. The reason why this thing broke in half is because it was its maiden voyage, and I didn't follow the common traditions one is supposed to with the motorcycle. I assume this is what happens at every manufacturer. So let me share that very privy information with you. Much like a boat, you're supposed to break a glass bottle on it right when you launch it. And I failed to do that. Like a phoenix, this thing has rose from the ashes once more. I can only make sure that I do it this time. So with that in mind, she's ready to go. All right, since I am, well, running out of time, I'm gonna take you guys with me. This fancy helmet camera. It's gonna be loud, so I guess that's your noise warning. We didn't break in half. Oh, feels good. Well, this is it. She runs and drives really good. We didn't break it in half on the second test run, so a vast improvement. Yeah, I could definitely see why you would want your wheels to be aligned, where this one is slightly off. It's only slightly off. It's not even like super crazy, but it is definitely more difficult to lean right, or yeah, versus left, looking at it from the back forward, because of how the tires are set up. Would I drive this thing at 70 miles an hour? Absolutely fucking not. But like up to 40 in a straight line, I'd be comfortable, as long as I'm not like doing super bendy turns and stuff. And then like it's perfect for the trail. I'm not the kind of guy who buzzes down the trail as fast as humanly possible. I go out there to go see the world, go see the scenery, enjoy myself while I have some time on this earth. But I think this is going to be phenomenal. This is the coolest fucking thing I've ever made. We have some stuff in the pipeline. Obviously, the exhaust is entirely too goddamn loud. I've got some ideas on that. I did something I shouldn't have done, just get the chain tensioned, so that way I wouldn't jump the chain off of the sprockets, but there's supposed to be a sleeve that goes inside of here. I took that out and I just moved it back. You can do that with this kind of fork, unlike a lot of other forks, swing arms. You insert whatever words make you personally happy there. And then, yeah, I'm gonna get some brake linkages. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll build an exhaust, and oh, we are so ready for next riding season. Well, until the next one, have a good one, my good dudes.